So we have Michael O'Neill for Las Vegas Actors and Filmmakers.
Hi.
All right. Well, thank you for coming down.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, let's jump into it, man. Tell us about who you are and some of the projects that you've done that we should be familiar with.
Just so y'all know, if you can't see, I'm playing with the kitten over here. This is Cat Mason, my new best friend. You're a star. My name is Michael O'Neill. I've been an actor since birth, I guess. I guess my first film was in '98. And I'm not going to date myself, but I was an adult at that point, so a lot older than I look, I guess. I've been doing a lot of projects and stuff, I guess, over the years, from theater, film, screenwriting. I've been a horror writer professionally for, I don't know, going on 15 years now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's something I did not know.
Yeah.
That's new information.
Yeah.
Are you, like anything that you've written that was locally produced that we might have seen, or?
What did we do here locally and stuff?
Or not. I mean, anything that we might have access to see or be familiar with.
There's a bunch of stories in different magazines and anthologies. I've been published, let's see, Canada, Britain, all over the States.
Wow.
Just did an anthology with a bunch of name authors called, what was it called? Bethlehem Revisited. It was Christmas horror stories.
Oh, wow.
I got a call from my friend Hal Bodner. Hey Hal, if you see this, how you doing, baby? It's one of my friends, and he lives in L.A. He called me up and asked me if I would do a story to replace somebody's that backed out last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up writing a story about a demonic elf and a schizophrenic lady that's making a body for it.
Wow.
Yeah, out of all these different people she's killed and stuff like that. So,
Which
yeah.
is just...
So it's a good time story to tell your kids and stuff, and your
Right.
grandchildren later on.
That's pretty cool, though. A lot of really great writers actually got their start doing that kind of thing, though.
Oh, yeah.
Writing little short essays, for different little magazines.
Oh, yeah. I wrote for Hallmark all the way to stuff like this.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
scripts
really cool.
and other stuff like that. Do a lot of editing. I've been a fiction editor for a while, too.
So are you, speaking of the writing, are you registered with the WGA and all of that?
No, not with the Writers Guild, but with HWA,
Okay.
the Horror Writers Association of America, and I'm trying to probably get into with the Science Fiction Guild, too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, now we have somebody to turn to if we're looking for a writer.
Yeah.
I know that you've been in a couple of films that we are familiar with over the last couple of years, and for instance, Territory 8.
Mm-hmm.
There was the one that you did. I think it was just last year with Sean Jackson. There was the courtroom drama one.
Oh, what was it called? No Knock.
No Knock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you? I mean, what was that experience like doing that? Working with Kelly Schwartz and Sean Jackson, and then having those films go into distribution and all of that. What was that experience like for you?
It was fun. I remember Territory 8 was one of the first films that I got paid on when I started going back into film. Because I took a long hiatus. I was between leaving Tennessee and coming out here, and then about 3 years just writing, I got back into acting. And within about 6 months, Stu Shaken ended up, I think, telling me about the audition. No, actually it wasn't Stu at that point. That's where I met Stu. I don't even remember where I found that at. I think I'd heard about it on Craigslist or something. And I went to the audition. And, yeah, it was funny. I remember I came in to read for Michael Tushouse's part, because originally the part that I had in Territory 8 was written for someone 35 to 45, and I didn't fit that. And they asked me last minute, said, "Can you read for Cody?" And I was like, "Yeah, I wanted to read for that part." And I don't remember what her name was, the casting director, this lady, and I read for her. She goes, "Yeah, you're scaring me." I was like, "What are you talking about?" It's your eyes. And so I ended up getting a call back for that. And Kelly was there. And he ended up giving me the part, and they rewrote it so that I would fit the age range, and then give me an extra lines.
You look a whole lot different in that film.
Yeah.
The hair's different and all that stuff. You look
Yeah, I like transforming into roles.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, it is. I just went to see The Revenant yesterday with my girlfriend Victoria.
Excellent film, yeah.
And said, "What'd you think of Tom Hardy's role?" And she goes, where was he? And I was like, are you serious? The bad guy. And she's like, that was Tom Hardy?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah,
that's great stuff.
I didn't even recognize him. And she said, that's what you do. You transform into roles. And I'm not patting myself on the back, but that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
Like another film we did here was The Red Man.
Okay. I've not seen that one yet.
Out in theater. It's out in the festival circuit right now. Mm-hmm. That was by Jimmy Gonzalez.
Okay.
And that was a SAG film. I think it was a modified low budget film.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to do the audition for that. And I think I just saw a posting somewhere on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I looked at the different roles, and a couple of them were supporting roles, and I saw one of the main roles, but it said bald, super skinny, covered in tattoos, and I said, screw it, I'm going to go do that role. And I auditioned for it. I come in there with my hair was blonde and a lot longer than it was here.
Yeah.
It was super tan. I come in there in a wife beater, and I was all like buff. And they gave me one page to read, and I read it. And I'm like, oh, good. And I was like, okay. And then it was about a month or two passed, and I sent an email saying, well, probably didn't get it because 2 months passed, but I just want to say, good luck with your film and stuff, and hope to hear from you. And they called me back and asked me, oh, well, you're still in the running. And I was like, okay. And about a month before the production, they told me I had the role. But they asked me if I could lose a bunch of weight. They mentioned The Machinist.
Yeah. Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Excellent film.
If I would shave my head. And they said, we'll work it out and stuff because, it was a paid film and all that. I said, sure. So I ended up losing like about 20 pounds of muscle weight.
Wow.
In a month and 1 week. I lost 10 pounds in a month and 7 pounds in the last week. Before I showed up on set, I'd been up for my first day 70 hours.
Wow.
And I kind of cataloged it of what I was looking like in the pictures. I was just skeletal thin.
Yeah.
They shaved my head. I had just finished a production with Jeremy Brooks called Jasper. I had my blonde hair. I shot that the day before, and then the next day they shaved me like Stu Shaken bald.
Yeah.
So total Kojak. And then I stayed that way for like about a month and a half. Barely eating, barely sleeping.
Jeez.
So you get all those facial tics, little things that you tried to act. I'm going to act like I'm schizophrenic, act like I'm paranoid. It wouldn't be real.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, let's do it for real. So I was actually having auditory and visual hallucinations because when you stay up that long, you start having problems with different things.
Yeah,
but it added to the role, just like little atmosphere things.
Now, do you find that there's a consequence of doing it like that? As far as to your health and
I don't recommend it.
Yeah,
any of that stuff. But I mean, just like acting, if you're gonna do it,
fully commit.
Do it.
Yeah.
If you're not gonna do it, you don't love it, find another profession.
Mm-hmm.
Because it requires like complete commitment to it. I don't recommend doing an indie film where you shoot with your friends and then doing all that, because it does affect you.
Yeah.
A lot. It took me a long time to get my sleep habits just back in order.
I imagine so. How did you go about losing all the weight and changing physically for that? Like, what are some of the things that you did to achieve that?
I started doing like a 2,000 calorie diet first week, then 1,500, then 1,000, then 500. And 500 is literally like a couple of crackers a day and a Coke.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I barely even ate for that last week. I was just drinking water and just staying up, lots of coffee and cigarettes.
That's horrible.
Sorry, Mom. Horrible. Back then, I'm trying to quit.
And that was how long ago?
Let's see. That would have been November of 2013, and we did some pickup shots in Detroit. They flew me out there, and they had to shave me again. And I lost a little bit of weight, but it was kind of a last-minute thing. But they put me in long-sleeve clothes, so that was good.
So
and they just darkened me up. Yeah. So that was about a year ago. It's won like 6 different awards right now. So
wow.
It's been pretty good.
I look forward to seeing that for sure.
Yeah, me too. I haven't seen it yet.
Now, is that something that's going to be in distribution, like digital distribution?
As far as I know and stuff. It's up to Jimmy and everybody else and stuff. That was produced by John Aquaviva.
Okay.
Well, he's like a legendary DJ or something like that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So, not to jump out of the topic of acting and the craft of acting, but I've been asking people, where were you from originally and what brought you to Vegas? Because it seems like nobody's from Vegas.
Yeah.
Right?
I know, that's right. Yeah.
You know, what's the story of how Michael O'Neill got to Vegas?
Well, let's see. I remember somebody put a hood over my head in Tennessee. And it was some props about candy, and I got in a van. And next thing you know, I woke up here and I was looking at the stratosphere, and they were dangling me by my feet. And I said, I don't have the money, Jimmy. And then they realized it wasn't me, so I'm in Vegas.
That's awesome.
But I'm originally from Tennessee. Yeah. It's like, where I'm from, it's like you take BFE, and then you take Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of mix those and have a bastard child, and you go deep into the woods. It's called Cumberland Furnace. That's where I'm originally from.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting name, Cumberland Furnace. Sounds
I know, it's the hot spot of the South, so we used to say.
Wow.
Yeah, nobody could hear it, but yeah.
That's it sounds like a great movie title. You know?
Oh yeah, it's like what the Blair Witch Project
right.
looked like. I was like, come outside and they're shooting the movie again. All right, cool.
Blair Witch 13.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Vegas then? What caused the transition to Vegas?
I was on tour because I used to be with the dance company. I was on tour for about 5 years, and then I decided to quit doing that, and I wanted to get to LA. Mm-hmm. So I stopped here. So it's probably cheaper to stop here. And got stuck here, was married, divorced, and then got back into it. Yeah, and just different things, life stuff.
Mm-hmm. How many years has it been?
That's a good question. What year is this?
2016.
16. We've been 50 and stuff. I think I've been here for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny how that happens, huh? Just, you're here for what you think it might be a brief period.
Yeah.
I've noticed that in talking to some other people, and even myself, like, you think, well, this is just a sort of like a temporary stop over, for whatever reason, you're here for a job or something, and then, you don't really plan on being here for the long haul.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, a whole lot of years goes by.
True. I like Vegas. I like Vegas a lot. I'm a night owl. So being able to go out at 3 o'clock in the morning and get groceries, cigarettes, a tire, and duct tape are all a good thing to get at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty easy for me to do that. It's harder to do that in LA because everything closes at like 2.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, everybody's checking their most wanted list right now.
It's okay. I change names so frequently. Change appearances. How do you think I learned that?
That's awesome. That is awesome. So tell us about some of the things that you're working on right now, or if you're developing anything, or what's going on with you right now.
Let's see. I'm going to say a lot of stuff that I can't say the names of. I'm working on an undisclosed horror film right now. Mm-hmm. And that's my film, the first film that I've done that I produced completely my own. It's a feature-length film here in Vegas, and it's psychologically disturbing, which is right down my alley.
Okay.
And working with my agent out of LA on possibly doing a television show that we'll be showing in Canada, and we'll be shooting in Canada and Mexico. And we're working right now with one of my good friends that's a horror writer. Another name I can't say yet. Right. But we might be doing the film here, and that'll probably be the same level as The Red Man. Mm-hmm. So it might be like an MLB SAG budget. It might even go up to low budget if we get the budget for it.
Yeah. How do you go about funding?
Finding people, like in the MLB range, it's mainly finding private investors. And even sometimes in the TV show and things, what we got is some of the private investors. Like I know a few people that have enough money that they could say, oh yeah, a couple million. Mm-hmm. It's not a problem. But it's only like 1 or 2 people I know that's even like that.
Yeah.
And it's just working out with them to make sure that you don't lose their money.
Right. Be hanging from a tower with
it's like if you can work it out where you can get like a secured debt on something where they're not actually an investor but more a debt financer. Mm-hmm. It's a way to get the money where they'll give it to you. And, oh, well, I'm definitely going to get my money back. It's insured and stuff, just like a secured credit card or like a car loan. Mm-hmm. That's a way to do it. Other ones, people just might have the money and they got the connections that they can get into distribution and at least make it back. Because MLB, you're only talking about like around about $500,000 or so.
Right. It's ultra low budget stuff.
Yeah, and ultra low budget, there's lots of those going on right now.
Oh yeah, they're
all over the place. Where some of that's just someone just wants to say I'm an executive producer. on something.
Right.
And it's not that much for them to recoup back, and they can show it to their friends. And it's a good way for them, the people, to actually produce content that they wanted to do that they otherwise couldn't do, or get the talent that they needed that they couldn't get for free.
Right.
As far as in front of the camera and behind the camera.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. It's such a a chicken or the egg kind of thing with independent films. It's if you want to try to make something good, having a good script is an important thing, but it's often not enough. And there's always that thing where when it comes to casting, you can't really get into a conversation with any reputable agency if you don't have funding, and you can't get funding with any reputable sort of investor people unless you have somebody attached. So there's this constant sort of battle that seems to go on in the indie world of it's like cat and mouse, just like trying to juggle, like, how are we going to finagle this and finagle that, and which there's a lot of strategizing as to the conversations that you have and when to pull which triggers and that kind of thing. It's there's definitely an art in it.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
There's and there's a lot of schizophrenia in it.
I would imagine it's got to be really
difficult. A lot of late
difficult.
nights, a lot of waking up in the middle of the night screaming, and then realize, it's okay, we're gonna get this done. We're gonna get it done. Your girlfriend look over and nudge you. I'm trying to sleep. Sorry. Go in the other room and cry. Yeah.
No, do you find that working with investors or people that when you do get funding and financing and all that stuff for your film, what is the impact of that on a creative level for you?
Some just stay the heck out of your way. You might get some people that be like, I want to get my friend in there and stuff, and you just same thing with finagling everything else you do. You just try to make them happy, but try to get it done. It's the whole thing about making. In this business, people either have two mentalities. They want to make a product and sell it, and that's all they're worried about, or they think they just want to make art. And in this is a business, the film business. It's almost like an oxymoron. We have to do both, and you've got to make something that you love and that you want to see and has content you want. But at the same time, you have to make it marketable and you have to make some money, because if you're making another one, you've got to please certain people and stuff like that. So it's that balancing act between those two things, and that can entail a lot of different stuff. Yeah, maybe mainly getting on your knees begging, just give me one more day. It's $10,000 more.
Oh my god, that's a very Vegas like story. Have you ever, speaking of that, not to get into uncomfortable territories, but have you gotten yourself into uncomfortable situations because of things like that, or have you ever found yourself in
people and stuff like that? Yeah, you can get shouting matches and different things like that. I'm trying to think of any particular moment. Most things are usually pretty easy to smooth out and stuff, as long as you know the way things flow. You know how to talk to people and things. If you're one of those people that just it's this way or it's the highway, more likely you're the one walking.
Right.
So yeah,
there's lots of different personality types in this business. That's the first thing that you kind of learn, is that they're coming from all different directions. You know what I mean? So
I've met everything.
It's interesting. Yeah, it can be interesting for sure.
I mean, I've been that way sometimes before too. Yeah.
Well, I think we can all get like that. Like you said, once you get into it, it does get kind of neurotic, as far as all the stresses and things you got to think about, things you have to deal with that you never saw coming. You know what I mean? That are just odd. It can be like a Twilight Zone experience.
Yeah, it's like in theater. It's like you just got to expect that something's always going to go wrong. Every day you do a show in theater, one thing will happen in the show that was not expected. I mean, we were doing a show called Tape, the Las Vegas Little Theater. Oh, this was probably about 2012, I think, in December, I want to guess. And
that's a great play, by the way.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. It was definitely fun. And we had something, outside. It was a Sunday, and for some reason, I guess next door in one of the other buildings, they were doing construction. So in the middle of our scenes, in the quiet, you hear. So we just incorporated it into the play. Started talking about it. Some of the biggest laughs we got were out of the mess up and stuff. Yeah.
Rolling with punches, improvisation.
Oh yeah,
that's good. So speaking of that, that gets us into craft. Now, are you Are you somebody who studies a lot as far as your acting craft, or you just what's your approach as far as being an actor?
Study a lot.
Yeah.
I think for every actor, you should always be in class.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, well, there's a time for being in class, and there's a time for just getting out there and working. It's like, yeah, it's true. But you always time to study. If you go to the gym and you're a professional weightlifter,
Mm-hmm.
once you get to hey, I think I look perfect, do you stop? No,
because
you
have
don't.
you have to maintain
continue
that,
to do
right?
it. And you continue to work and continue to get just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of actors don't think that. Or there's some actors that go out there and just say, well, I know what I'm doing. And I don't know if they qualify as actors.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I've been to a lot of auditions where I've seen people show up that were great models.
Mm-hmm.
Never had an acting class in their life. But they'll make $3,500 showing up for 2 hours on a modeling commercial,
Mm-hmm.
and then see something like MLB or a smaller budget film
Mm-hmm.
where they're only offering $100 or $250 or even $500 for the day in a low
Mm-hmm.
budget SAG film, and they're like, oh, that's nothing, I can come do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to speak, and I'm like,
Right.
could you just leave so I can get to my audition?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not going to show up to do it, just like what we said before, if you're not going to do it, if you're not going to put everything you got into it, think about another profession.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you want to make it, you've got to be doing this constantly, every day. You got to be training. You got to be trying to work. I mean, 95% of this job is not in front of the camera. 5% is
Right.
is the acting and working on your lines and your character. The other 95% is just BS, sitting there on the computer, talking to people, making phone calls, everything that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course your training and things like that.
Right.
I mean, that's fun when you have to think about all the other stuff you got to put up with just to get in front of the camera and do that 5%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like running the gameplay, but most of the time is spent developing the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
it's just trying to find the jobs
Yeah.
is crazy. I mean, between working here, working in LA, working anywhere else in the country,
mm-hmm.
I mean, I found jobs on websites.
Mm-hmm.
I found jobs on Craigslist. I found jobs on Facebook. I get some jobs, probably about a third of the jobs I'll get it from agent and things here.
Mm-hmm.
Other things are word of mouth. There's other actors calling me up saying, can you do this project?
Mm-hmm.
Or we've got this role. And that's what it's really good to have a strong community of people that you've worked with and things so that you can connect. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling people all the time. You want to do this role? We're paying this. Or I know somebody that's hooked
Right.
up here. I keep a database of everybody that I've
Mm-hmm.
worked with or that I just met. The card. So if someone calls me, we're looking for a sound guy. I said, well, I've worked with these people, and then I got these other people that I never worked with, but you call them,
Mm-hmm.
just help somebody out. I'm not
Right.
getting anything for it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but I say, train with as many different people as you can, different styles.
Mm-hmm.
I pull from pretty much every teacher that I've had. I've trained with here in town 4 or 5 different people over the course of the last 8 years. And every teacher has something, a piece of the puzzle. It's like there's a piece of truth in all these different things. And then you make your own. You take what works for you from every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever works best, and something doesn't, pull it out and then try to put something else in.
That's a good way to put it too. Is that a teacher is always going to be able to give you a piece of the puzzle, but you're probably not going to find any one particular person or one particular resource that is going to give you all the answers.
Yeah, there's some will influence you more than others,
Right.
and some has more to teach than others. Yeah.
Right. Because every situation that you're doing is going to be unique, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have to figure out a way to apply something that you've learned from somewhere to that situation, and it's always going to change. I think that's what's fascinating about this business too, is that it is an ever-changing thing. Even though it can be incredibly frustrating and incredibly taxing, it's also incredibly rewarding because it can be so exciting that everything is different all the time.
Oh yeah.
There's always something new coming at you that you just you have to deal
Yeah.
with, for the good or the bad. But there's not many jobs in the world that are like that.
Oh yeah, that's why I can't keep a stable job. I haven't had a stable job. Well, I guess you say acting is not ever stable, no matter
Right.
how long you've been doing it.
Right. Lots of
one
ups
of
and
those where you
downs.
come in and do the same thing over and over again, longer than 2 months ever in my
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
I've been doing, yeah. been lucky enough to, I say lucky, and persevered enough to be doing this for a long time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, luck is one way to put it, but the doing the work is what is really the reason, I think.
Yeah.
When you see people that do have some kind of consistency in the work that they do, and that they are continuing to do work, it's because they're putting in the work.
It's like the quote, what is it? It's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration.
Exactly. It's so true. It's so true. I'm one of those people too. Like, I don't believe in inspiration. I know it sounds funny, but I really don't. Inspiration doesn't wait for anybody. You have to just sit down and start. You have to pick up the pencil and put it to paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like in writing, from editing and things. I used to be an editor for a magazine called Dark Moon Digest. When it started up, I think it's turned into a publishing company, something now called Dark Moon Books. Everybody has a good idea, but there's hardly anybody that can actually turn it into something. And because that's that 1% inspiration thing. But then actually putting the work in, and then having the training to actually know how to write it and stuff, so it's fluid and it's smooth and people can understand it. And you can go through the structure and the things.
Yeah, that's the thing that I find that's very important. Is like we keep saying about doing the work and the training and all of that. I said there's that it really is the difference. And then there's a lot of people that, even myself included, earlier on, you get the sense that you're kind of searching for the magic. You either you move around, you go to these different places, you get involved with these different people and all this kind of stuff because you're always kind of searching for the magic. You're searching for that sort of magic answer as to how it all works.
Let me know when you found it.
Right, but that's the whole thing, is that it's a myth. It's a total myth, and you learn that as you go. That the at the heart of it all is stuff that's not really exciting at all. It's stuff that's not sexy. It's not it's not sparkly. It's really just you in a room, sitting down doing some work.
Yeah, me in there, sitting in a room in my underwear, covered in peanut butter, typing on the computer, crying,
shaving your head,
mascara going all place, shaving my head. Then realizing the role requires for me to have long hair, pasting the hair back onto my head, kicking the cat as it's trying to lick the hair off my head, and then crying some more.
And then you bring all of that to the scene,
Be an actor, kids.
That's great. So, our next thing I wanted to ask you is specific to the Las Vegas community, and having been here as long as you have, and being one of the working professionals in the community. What are some of the things that you would like to see happen for the Las Vegas community, as far as things that you want to see change or improve, or just along those lines? Some of those things that you've been able to glean over the years that.
Well, I'd like to see, like I said before, people take it completely seriously. If you're going to do it for a hobby, do it as a hobby. If you want to do it as a profession, put your all in, go all in every time. I'd like to see, this is a good place. Since we're so close to LA, we're fighting LA. And LA is really fighting to have Vegas not have anything here. Unless you want to shoot the Strip. They're like, yeah, whatever.
But there's a lot of productions that are coming in, though, lately, it seems.
Yeah, there's a lot. Mainly it's connected somewhere with the Strip or something, with where people see Vegas.
Well, that's true, because the Bourne film, that was the major thing, was the major epic scene that's in that movie is on the Vegas Strip. So that's, obviously the reason why they were here, probably not much else.
Yeah, like Mall Cop, or was it Las Vegas?
Yeah.
They're all centered around what people think of when they think, oh, Las Vegas. They think of, the Strip and everything else. But there's a lot of talent here, and there's a lot of other aspects to the town. I mean, if that film I was mentioning before that we do with my horror writer friend comes here, we're not shooting anything, on the Strip in that area. We're just using the suburbs and stuff. I'd like to see a lot more of those kind of films come in, because we got the Hollywood blockbusters like Bourne and all those other things, the huge budgets. But like when the Red Men came here, and the lower tiers and stuff, where it's up, just a few million or under $1 million, those films are still going out to DVDs, and they're still going into stores, and they're going out there, and that offers, like, I have a starring role above title in that role, in that movie. It's really hard for any of us in Vegas to get any roles in any of these big films. You might get a feature background, you might get a line, you might get a small principal part. But they're bringing in everybody else, usually from LA, that are coming from those larger films. In the MLB and the lower budget, or films that just have, that's non-union, have that kind of budget, whatever. That's going to provide a lot of work, a lot of steady work. Like I made some of these films that come into town, I'll get like a main role or a lead role in them, and that'll pay for 6 months of my bills here. But if I was to get one in the other films, the larger Hollywood blockbusters, I might get like a month covered or rent or something like that. So that also gets an outlet too for them for actors here in town, and also the production side, because they're going to hire locally at that level. So they'll bring in some people from LA and stuff, but that'll provide stable work for the people. We get more and more of those in here. We're not going to be competing with LA for that work. The actors and stuff, they're going to use the talent pool here, production, use talent pool here and talent, and it's going to provide a lot of money for all these people that are struggling to find a job. They either got to try to struggle, everybody fight for that one little role that they're being tossed, or the background. Here they can get a meaty role, and they can learn, they can be seen, they can put something on their resume that actually people go in the stores and buy. And they don't have to just do everything that doesn't pay anything. There's some great projects here, but when you've got to eat, you got to have you got to have something that has a budget.
All the more reason.
I keep saying budget too. I've noticed that a lot.
It's important. It's important. I mean, in the productions that do have a budget, it, as you said, there is that sort of stigma where I think people in Vegas, whether you're here for a long time or you're not, once you're in Vegas, you sort of are associated with the Las Vegas crowd, and people have the perception that people are not quite professional enough or talented enough, and that's what I've learned in the 2 years.
That's not true. There's tons of talent.
In the 2 years that I've been here, I've learned that's actually not true at all. Yeah. But it doesn't matter that I know that, because it doesn't change anything about the stigma. And I think that some of the things that you were saying earlier about do the work, keep training, keep doing the grunt work of it all, because that does make a lot of difference, and that hopefully more people do that, and that sort of draws more attention. When people are passing through the other production companies, some of these smaller companies, when they come through, they get exposed to that kind of person first, as opposed to a lot of the other types that we all know that are just sort of like...
Yeah, they get a prima donna that's like, hey, where's my coffee? And all that. No, I can't do that scene. It's too cold outside. No, I don't want to do that right now. Get that hood off my face.
So what's next? What's next for you in the very near future?
Probably breakfast. Maybe a stiff drink.
It's a little early for that, isn't it?
What time is it? This watch didn't even work.
That's awesome.
The project, I'm working on the horror film, so I'm finishing it up. So hopefully that will be done, guessing by when we started it 1 year ago around May. So I try to, if I'm doing a film, and turn around. This started off as a short film. Once I started looking at footage, realized, I don't know, these two scenes are about the size of a short film. We've got a feature.
Yeah.
I'll be finishing that up. And then the films and the projects I talked about earlier and things, we're working to make that happen. And I'm really hoping we get that one with my horror writer friend to come down, because we've got the infrastructure here. We're going to be using all cast and crew mainly from here. We got a few people coming from LA and stuff. With the name actors that's going to be playing the other lead in it. So yeah,
that's exciting though.
Probably going to check on the people locked in my basement, see if I need to feed them. It's been 3 days, I think. They've got their water trough, so this should be all right.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, they did bleed out a little bit. I don't know.
Well, we need to get you out of here, man. You got to go let them out.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, thanks for coming down, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Right.
And actors, make sure bleed for your work. Otherwise, I'll see you in my basement.